My name is Victor Furman. Some call me The Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me now and we will explore these topics and so much more with fascinating guests, authors, and experts who will guide us to Destination Unlimited. How may someone benefit from psychic readings? Will they help with personal growth? My guest this week on Destination Unlimited, Allison Carmany, says her readings help clients reclaim their power, remember who they truly are, and step into their highest timeline. Allison, who has nearly 250,000 YouTube subscribers, brings her followers identity-shifting teachings, quantum manifestation tools, meditations, and soul wisdom. Her goal? To release old patterns and help you become the best version of who you already are. Her website is soulfulevolution.com, and she joins me this week to share her path and her gifts. Please join me in welcoming to Destination Unlimited, Allison Carmany. Welcome, Allison.
Hello.
So nice of you to join us today and share your amazing work. Please share with us your early path and experiences and how they led you to your callings in life coaching, psychic mediumship, and transformative healing.
So I had early on in life, I had a health issue that they told me I was going to be on medication, steroids for the rest of my life. And that led me to the journey to start researching into holistic health. And then I got into metaphysics, spirituality, and have been studying that for about 35 years. And it really, then in 2020, this gift of the psychic and the mediumship came. It just during 2020, just going through, no longer having all the distractions that were going on in my life. And it just awakened. One day I started to see spirits.
And did you have any of those things happen when you were a child?
I didn't. I never had any sort of experience with that. But after I started to be able to see spirits, I realized, oh, I've been psychic this whole time. See, I feel like people don't understand the psychic thing is a natural ability just to be tapped in. And I thought, oh, I just know a lot about people or, but after that ability, then I was like, oh, well, so I feel like a lot of people out there are already tapped into their psychic abilities. They just don't know it is psychic.
Absolutely. When I was a child, I also had experiences, and when I would share them with my parents, this goes back to the 1950s, I was told that I had an overactive imagination. What would you say to parents today whose children start reporting things to them that they can't see?
You know what? There is more children these days are being born tapped in without that veil over them, and I feel like the more in tune they are. So what's happening, and I've seen this with people with dementia, and I feel like schizophrenia, is they are accessing other dimensions. So we have this physical dimension, which kind of there's a veil on there to protect us so that, we don't go insane. But then when I'm talking to people that have passed or spirits, they're in another dimension that's just right here. It's just I'm accessing both dimensions at once. And I feel like this is very common with kids and people that sometimes have mental disorders. They're just accessing another dimension.
So rather than correcting the child or those folks who are having those experiences, acknowledge them, tell them to keep talking about it and sharing it, and don't try to put them down in any way.
Yeah, I feel like just being opening to seeing what they're saying. There was actually some studies where some kids had some near-death experiences, and they said that they had re-encountered like other lives that they had, and the parents didn't believe them. And then they went back and researched that the people that they were talking about were real people. They lived and all this stuff. So, just being open and not discounting a child that, they're tapped in.
Absolutely. Tell us about your founding of Soulful Evolution and what your offerings are there.
So I work So I have been working before as a coach, right? A business coach, a personal coach. And this is when this ability started to develop. And so what I did was I started to integrate coaching with um, energetics. So really looking at something on an energetic level, and brought in psychic, which is tapping into them, and mediumship, which is bringing in spirit, and bringing this all together as one. And I'm doing generational healing, lineage line healing. So when I sit with someone, I see what's played in their lineage line for centuries, and why they're having the challenges that they're having today is a result of what's been in their bloodline, what's been in their DNA, and stuff like that.
Absolutely. Why do you think so many people are spiritually awakening, or should we say reawakening, right now?
So there is something called the Schumann resonance on our planet, and that is the Earth's vibration. And there's people that track this all the time. But what's happening is the vibration of the planet is raising to another frequency. And it's raising high, and they've even shown that time is speeding up. So what's happening is, as the vibration is raising on the planet, we as beings are raising in our frequency. So that a lot of times people are seeing right now in their lives a lot of breakdown that's happening. It's actually, what's happening is things are breaking down that are no longer in alignment, and they're becoming more into energetic alignment with the things that they need to be in alignment. But sometimes those things that we connected with are no longer in alignment, and they leave our lives as we're raising in consciousness. And that's actually what's happening. We've moved into the age of Aquarius, and this is about raising in consciousness.
In addition to Schumann's resonance, one of the things that I've personally noticed over the past few months is, with the increased solar activity that's been taking place, I'm actually feeling this vibration going through my body. Is that something that others are experiencing?
Yes. So I'm feeling it too. So every time something like that hits the planet, we get these solar things that Schumann resonance spikes, is more light hitting the planet. So as more light is hitting the planet, we have light bodies. So our bodies are being affected by more light coming onto the planet. And so people that are more sensitive are able to speak on that. People that are not as conscious more might feel like there's more chaos or more craziness happening, but they can't put their finger on to what's actually why things are happening the way they are.
And the other aspect of it is, I've had tinnitus for several years now. I'm now in my early 70s, and I've had tinnitus. But I've had this strange high frequency sound come, a new one, which is actually a pleasant sound. And I hear it almost every day.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah,
So maybe you're tapping into another vibrational frequency.
absolutely. I have to listen to it carefully and sort of relax and meditate with it and see what happens, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Um, what is the biggest misconception that people have about psychic mediums?
Okay. So this is not something that I chose to do. It's kind of like it chose me. And so psychic is nothing more than your intuition and tapping into your sixth sense, right? So we have our five senses, which are everything we can taste, touch, feel, right? So when we descended down onto the planet, we descended down into those five senses, and that's what this world is made up, is those five senses. But it's when we start to pay attention to, ooh, when I was talking to that person, this didn't feel good. Oh, I felt this thing in my gut that just didn't feel right. That is tapping into that intuition and that psychic sense. And it's a tool. It's something that we can grow and expand. The more you can expand it through a muscle, right? So the more you start to pay attention to that feeling, oh, that didn't feel right, or oh, that felt good. Those are the things that's starting to tap in beyond this physical realm. And so I feel like the biggest misconception is, oh, psychic isn't good. But the thing is, it's natural ability that we're disconnected from, because as we continue to just follow what we're told to do, the more we get disconnected from it. And as far as the mediumship is, at first I was afraid, like I'm seeing all these things happening. I was so afraid of it, but we have free will. And at any time we can express our free will to say, hey, like I'm not open to seeing this, or I'm not open to what I'm experiencing right now, and express that free will. But with religion, a lot of the religions shut down these things that are natural abilities that we have. And I feel like if people can more follow themselves and what they feel versus what they're being told is good or bad. Because in this day and age, we're going to have to use more discernment than ever.
Absolutely. When you talk about mediumship, you're really talking about contacting those who have departed. Is that correct?
So mediumship is also considers people that have passed over, and it's also contacting spirits. So spirit is angels, it's interdimensional beings. So it's, beyond just the people that have passed.
And those who come to you for mediumship work, what are the questions that they ask?
They always want to know, is my loved one at peace? And what the loved one usually shows me is, I haven't yet seen the experience of heaven. And I feel like what I've seen is that it's another dimension that they pass through. And science says that there's 13 dimensions, right? So I'm not saying this is what science actually has proven. And I feel that they pass into another dimension, which is a higher vibrational dimension, right? That consists of unconditional love. And when I tap into them, this is the state that they're in. So, they ask me, is my loved one in pain? Do they still have the physical pain that they were experiencing? And no, they're in a vibration and a frequency of love, and they've transitioned into that. And I also have the question of people that have taken their life, and where are they? And I've noticed that they are in a lower vibrational state, that is one where it's kind of a holding pattern, and they're having to assist people on earth that maybe didn't do right things, to kind of pay back that karma. They're having to repeat some of the lessons and stuff like that. So that's kind of what the biggest questions they have.
And the essence of who we are beyond this physical realm, the soul, the spirit, whatever language you'd like to use to describe it, what is the purpose of that? And do we grow with each lifetime or through the karmic lessons?
So what I've seen by connecting with thousands of people at this point is that we come down, before we come down, our soul takes a contract, and that's to learn maybe unconditional love or unconditional forgiveness, whatever it is that you've decided you want to experience. Now, that doesn't determine the events they're going to play. That is more what lessons you're going to learn. So a lot of times it's, okay, if someone's here to learn unconditional love, well, most of the time I've seen that love has to be withheld from them in the beginning of their life, so that then they are able to give that unconditionally to others and to themselves. And so whatever's been withheld from somebody early on is what I see is the soul's lesson that they came in to learn. And the soul does not die, right? So, our physical vehicle wears out. But our soul continues on. And I feel like the more that, people are born, somebody's like, oh, that's an old soul or that's a new soul, I feel like that old soul is that person that really had a lot of soul's evolution. They learned a lot of lessons, they experienced a lot, and they're applying it again to this next lifetime.
And where does this contract, who initiates this contract for us?
Oh gosh, I've never been asked that. So how I see this, I see there's one source of energy, right? So we can call it God, we can call it oneness, we can call it all different names. There's been more wars fought over like religion and what we're calling this, but it's one source of energy that we're all connected into. And I feel like it's from that, connecting with that source of energy and creating these contracts that our soul knows we need. And the thing is we come into this lifetime and I've noticed it in my own life, but I've also seen it in these readings, is that our soul is guiding us. So our soul already knows what the future. So like if I look back to everything that I've ever done, I was guided to do those things. And it's now the work that I'm doing now that is, wow, all those things were a combination of now how I'm able to help people and continue to evolve with the work that I'm doing. And this is what I see with everybody else, is that this is their everything that they've had to deal with, all the challenges, all the good times, all the things that they've had to deal with over their lifetime, is these lessons.
Absolutely. Do you get involved at all with Akashic Records?
You know what? I've had a lot of Akashic Records readings, but I don't do Akashic Records because I work as an evidential medium,
Right.
which means that when someone sits in front of me, I provide physical evidence that their loved one is present. And I love, talking about angels or Akashic Records, all those things. But the problem is that I can't prove that. And for my own mind and my own, analytical mind, it really needed this type of stuff and continues to need this so that I can know that, yes, this is true. Yes, confirm, confirm.
You talked about old souls. I consider myself to be an old soul. In fact, I was musing the other day that I was wearing a pair of squeaky shoes, and I said myself, I'm an old soul in old souls. For those who are listening, then I have a little bit of a sense of humor. But getting back to that concept of the old soul, why do you think, I sense there's a lot of old souls right now. Why do you think we're here?
Well, that's a big question. So I feel like the people that are here on the planet right now, this is a time of crossroads because we're going to, like, if anybody on here has heard of Dolores Cannon, she illustrates this very well in her books, but she talks about we're going to divide into two groups of people. We're at a point in humanity that we've been at before, where we've merged with machine or merged with technology. So there's going to be a group of people that are going to merge with technology. You can just look and just see that, right? And then there's a group of people that aren't going to merge with technology. They're going to come back to nature, and it's based on a vibration. And so how she explains it is really like we're still going to be on the planet together, but it's the same thing as like we're going to be in other dimensions. So it's the same thing as when I see these people that have passed, they are here. Like there's the one sitting right behind me. I see what they're wearing. I see what they're saying, what they look like. I describe them. But people that don't have the eyes to see them can't see them. So it's the same thing as we're going to divide those two groups, and we're not going to be able to see the people at the lower vibration. They're not going to be able to see at the higher vibration.
And you talk about people who are going to evolve into something different. Are you talking about AI?
Yeah. So I feel that some will merge with AI.
Literally merge with AI. The people will become part of one with AI.
Yes. And the thing is that we are already seeing that with the microchip coming out and all that. It's like once you are like take the microchip, you're going to be part of that.
Mm.
You're going to merge with technology. It's not going to be your mind. You're not going to be connected to source. Right now, we are connected into source, and we're divine beings connected into that larger force, that field. And once you are connected in with technology, you're not connected into that divinity anymore. We're going to lose our divinity.
Mm. That's sad, isn't it?
It is sad, but there's also two things that are happening right now. We are right now, there's something called the Great Awakening. Okay. And this is a movement that has unfolded multiple times in humanity over time. And it was back in the day, would be like a movement like the Me Too movement or Black Lives Matter. It was a movement where people came together and they knew about, the Great Awakening. So they come together as a group and community. Oh, you're in the Great Awakening? Oh, you're in the Great Awakening. Okay. So like you come together and know that, right? So we've got the Great Awakening happening. And at the same time, we have something called the Great Reset. Okay. And I feel like this is happening with the Great Reset at this time because the people that are more trying to control the planet have an agenda. And that is to reset things into more of a prison state. And when I say prison, it's more like it'll be digital ID. You're going to be more controlled by the system in the matrix versus your own divinity, right? And so it's whether or not humanity wakes up in time for this all to unfold.
What do you think is going to happen?
Well, have you heard of Project Looking Glass?
Yes.
Okay. So in Project Looking Glass, this was a CIA project where they kept looking in this looking glass and they found that humanity, the light, always won. And they're like, wait, we've got to change this timeline. So how timelines are, and I'm going to explain this on there for the audience, is that there's a certain timeline that humanity's on right now. And there's been divergent timelines. There's been timelines that we've changed. Same thing as your life. It's like, okay, you were on a certain timeline, you were on a trajectory to get married. Well, then it didn't happen, or you got divorced, or, your life changed in some way. Your timeline changed as to what you thought it was going to be, right? So there's timeline shifting all the time. And what happened is they continue to see the timeline where the light wins, and they don't want that timeline happening because everything is about control. And so I feel that there's darker forces that control this planet. And with those darker forces is they're just trying to slow down the awakening. They know it's going to happen. They're just trying to slow it down. And but in the end, no matter what they do in this time right now, we win. The light wins. And we remember now, are we going to still be in our physical bodies? That's to be determined. Remember, because these physical bodies, this is just what's here in the physical plane, right? But we still have our light bodies in our soul. So that's kind of like the light wins. I don't know if we'll still be in the physical form.
May the light prevail.
Exactly.
My guest is Allison Carmany. She's the founder of Soulful Evolution. Allison, please share with our listeners where they can connect with you and find out more about your wonderful work.
So it's soulfulevolution.com. That's my website.
And what are the things that you offer there?
So right now I offer one-on-one readings where I connect with them to see what's going on with them, to help them, assist them in whatever struggles and whatever blocks they're experiencing right now in their life. And I also bring in loved ones or look at the lineage line to see what's played and what can be cleared on a karmic level. So, and then also in the next several weeks, I'm launching a mastermind where I'm going to work with groups of people to help shift energetics, to help them shift on a larger level with transformation. And that's something new, a new offering I'm super excited to put out there.
Wonderful. We'll be back with more of Allison after these words on the Om Times Radio Network.
The cutting edge of conscious radio, Om Times Radio, IOM FM. Om Times Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Om Times, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Imagine yourself being transported to India, to the banks of the Ganga and an ashram in Rishikesh. Visualize that you are welcome to satsang with an American sannyasi who shares the wisdom of her guru. Your visualization has manifested. Join Sattvi Bhagawati Saraswati for inspiration and transformation every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern on Om Times Radio.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
Nathan has taught me to embrace the moment. Age-wise, I'm in my late 60s. I'm old enough to be his grandfather. Will he be embarrassed to acknowledge me as his dad? I think the most important thing we can do is let them know that they're safe, that they're valued and cared for.
Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Back on Destination Unlimited, my guest this week is Allison Carmany. She's the founder of Soulful Evolution. Allison, we sort of talked about some of these topics in the first segment. Why do you think that people are feeling more sensitive, emotional, or totally overwhelmed lately?
Well, I feel like there's just so much happening on the planet right now. There's just like this, there's a lot of chaos that's happening that's making us feel out of order. Like we talked about those solar flares and all that, the things coming on the planet. It's just making us feel less grounded. And a way to really come back is to ground ourselves. So grounding, going out outside for about 10 to 15 minutes without your shoes on and meditating are going to become very essential in this times, as more things are happening, as that resonance of the planet is raising, as the frequencies continue to raise on the planet.
Let's talk a little bit more about grounding, because I've seen people starting to do this work where either they go outside for a certain period of time where it's safe for them to go out without shoes and actually touch their feet to the earth ground. Others who are using grounding blankets and grounding devices of various kind. What's the importance of grounding? How does that work?
So a lot of times people are obsessed with, ascending and conscious or ascending, but the problem is that the more that you do the higher energy work, the less grounded you become and the more chaotic your life becomes, because it becomes more unstable, right? So when it's doing that grounding, where you're grounding to the earth and you're grounding that root chakra in, it helps you to create more stability in your life. And a lot of people on the spiritual path don't have a lot of stability, and it's creating more of that stability in the physical body. And that's really what we have to do to stay calm with everything that is happening in the world and is coming at us, is to stay grounded.
Absolutely. And there's a higher reason behind it all.
Yeah.
Absolutely. How can everyday people begin trusting their own intuition?
So a lot of times we're like, oh, this looks good on paper, and we make something with the mind, right? But the intuition lives in our body. And we have to get reconnected back to our body to tap into that intuition. And so that intuition is sometimes in the gut, like, oh, I'm getting stomach problems, I'm getting headaches, I'm getting, neck pain. All of that is like your body telling you, hey, like something's out of alignment, somebody's crossed the boundary. Hey, your job's not aligned. And if you really just listen to your body, listen to the symptoms and signs that your body's giving you. That's part of your intuition that you're discounting. So instead of letting your mind run the show, one activity that I do for people a lot of times that they sit in front of me, I'm not looking to see somebody a bunch of times. I'm looking to empower them, for them to be tapped into their own intuition so that they can make their own decisions and not seek outside counsel, right? It's good to be guided and then be able to be tapped in. So what I do is, okay, give me scenario 1, right? Okay, now tell me, how does that feel like in your body? Okay, feel it, experience it. And then I'm like, okay, what does that feel like 5 years from now? Okay, does it feel more expansive or more contracted? And then I do it with the next thing, right? And then this gives somebody more starting to tap into that divine intuition that is our birthright.
And some people, as you said, manifest it and feeling it in their gut, or even manifesting some type of illness in the gut. But also there are those who hear, clairaudient, those who see, clairvoyant, clairsentient, they feel. How do we know which of the clairs we possess?
Okay, so the thing is one of the clairs is always more tapped in for someone. And what happens is, as I, started this gift of being able to tap in started to come online, was first, it was just coming in through a visual thing. But then I started to be able to expand into all the other ones, which is what you stated. And it's starting to work with that. So if you're hearing things, like tapping into that more, is this, to see, okay, where is that voice coming from? A lot of times when you're getting a download where you're just all of a sudden, like somebody just told me the other day, it's like they were gonna go walk across the street with their kids and they heard this voice, don't cross right now, wait. And then 2 vans came together and crashed on the crosswalk. So it's just, sometimes it's just starting to listen, tune into that voice, and trust that voice. Or if you get a download of, I should be doing this, or I should do this, it's like, where is that coming from? Starting to tune in and pay attention. I see the physical body as a instrument. And it's like, we have to get this instrument in tune. Okay. We've been out of tune for a long time, right? And as we get more in tune and listening to it and paying attention, it's building that, paying attention to that, what you're hearing, what you're seeing, what you're experiencing. And when I say seeing, I don't actually see something in the physical form. I see it in my third eye, which means it's kind of like I'll see it internally. Right? Or you might hear something internally, right? So it's like, that is where people can't distinguish it, but starting to break it apart. Where am I hearing this from? Getting more of that distinguishing to tap in. That's the first steps, because if you're not going to do that, then you're not going to be able to tap in to go to trust it, right? That's the first steps to trusting.
And how do we determine where that spiritual guidance is coming from?
So I believe that spiritual guidance is coming from a guardian angel. It's one that they've said, and so many people have documented this, that we actually have a personal guide that is here to look after us in this lifetime. And then as we go through life, say somebody's going through a divorce or something, they'll have spiritual counsel guides and different guides that we have throughout our lifetime. And that the problem is, though, with these guides is that because we have free will, they can't necessarily interfere unless we ask for assistance. So I'm always asking, hey, calling upon, hey, please assist me, with this reading, and please bring in their guides to assist them with this healing. I'm always asking for assistance because like that is always going to help a situation better, and can we confirm that the assistance is there? We're not going to be able to confirm, but sometimes it's confirmed to me of like things are more effortless happening in my life rather than so much force and effort. That's how I feel like it's more confirmed.
Absolutely. I'll share a personal story with you. In 1975, I was in the United States Air Force and I was stationed in Korea. And one morning, my guide came to me, the voice that I always trusted and listened to, what they used to call the soft, still voice within rather than the shouting voice of ego. And the voice said, "Call your mother back in New York. She needs to hear from you." Now, I had been sending letters back and forth with her every month. No reason to have any sense that anything was wrong, but I always listened to that voice. And for those of us of a certain age, back in those days, we had wired telephones in the home, and you had extension phones. And I called, and I listened to the voice, and I called, and my mother and my sister simultaneously picked up the phone. And I said, "Mom, is there anything wrong?" And my sister goes, "Oh my God, how did he find out?" And it turned out that she was scheduled for major surgery the next day. And the voice told me to tell her the surgery would be a complete success. She'd have a rapid recovery. Everything would be just fine. She needed to hear those words, and that's exactly what happened. And I'm grateful for that information and grateful for that spirit guide who would come to me and give me that information.
Wow. That was amazing.
Absolutely. One example of many, which I'm sure you've had the same. So the question becomes, what role does spirit and spirituality play in healing trauma or emotional pain?
I feel like, we come in here in our DNA, in our bloodline, we are literally carrying trauma. And there was this movie, Heal. It's on Netflix, it's on Gaia. And they had these rats. And they had them smell these cherry blossoms, and then they would shock them and they went into the stress response. Okay. The next generation, they would literally just have them smell the cherry blossoms and they'd go into the stress response. So this is how trauma is carried on generationally, right? So sometimes we might have a fear of something or anxiety about something, and we don't even know where it's coming from because it's beyond this our lifetime, right? And so spirituality plays a role in it because we really have to do the deeper work to heal. So if, you're having trouble in relationships or trouble getting a job or trouble keeping a job or whatever the stress is that you're having in your life, we have to look deeper to see what is it that I believe, what is causing this stress. So let's just say I have anxiety attacks. It's seeing what is triggering that anxiety attack and going deeper with ourselves and realizing, okay, it's not being accepted, it's not being liked. Okay. And then realizing, okay, I have the ability to heal that. That relates back to this, or we don't even have to know what it relates back to, right? But that anything that we're being triggered by at any time is something that's not healed within us. And that as we heal that, that's part of our evolution, our soul's evolution. And then when they say that when studies say, science says that when we heal, we're healing 7 generations in the past, 7 generations into the future. So for our parents or our grandparents, maybe they didn't have a voice. Maybe they didn't have the ability to have a vision and fulfill their vision in their lifetime. And we're doing that for the entire lineage. Or there's been addiction that's been playing out in the whole lineage, and we're the first person to say, hey, I'm not going to participate in this addiction. And I feel like a lot of people listening right now and anybody that's into spirituality is most likely the cycle breaker in their family, or also called the black sheep. And they're the person that's, questioning the things that are happening in the family, right? So you'll know you're the cycle breaker if you're the one that's like, hey, why are we doing this? Like, and you start asking questions. Because the thing is somebody that's not the cycle breaker just accepts what's happening. They don't ask questions. Like, this is just what's happening. And you just go along with it. Addiction's been happening. We're just going to go along with it.
What is the true meaning of spiritual wellness?
I feel it's being in your fullest expression of who you are. Okay. So people are like, don't want to express, but the more, as a society, we're suppressed in our expression, but the more we can express ourselves and express who we are, that is a sign of health, right? A lot of times we have these health issues and it's suppression of our expression. And a lot of times we just need to express, and that relieves what we're dealing with on an emotional level. So it's feeling good in your body and feeling in balance in your life. And I feel like that's wellness. Now, in balance, that doesn't mean that, maybe you're someone that overworks. Maybe you enjoy like working a lot, right? So it's whatever you feel that is in balance, and to each their own on that, because my life could look different than someone else, but it's what feels good to you in your life. If there's things that you need to change in your life, change is instantaneous. And so you say, well, it took me 10 years to stop smoking. No, the moment you decide to stop smoking is when your life changed. So it's realizing, hey, like this is out of my balance in my life. What can I do right now to change that, to put it into balance?
And how important is listening to yourself in this process?
So I am doing this work to really got into this work and working with people to be able to trust myself and listen to myself. And it's been a lifetime of learning. And the more that we are able to listen and truly pay attention to what feels right and what doesn't feel right is really the key to life, right? Because what might be the right job for someone else, somebody else is raving about this and loves it, might not be right for our soul, right? And I see astrology as the blueprint in this lifetime. So I literally, like, if you had a blueprint for your house, like this is what you're supposed to be doing. And I feel like astrology really helps to guide us to what is more energetic alignment in this lifetime, and that we get to an energetic alignment, not what looks right, but what feels right energetically. And that's what I feel like is that tapping in true wellness.
My guest is Allison Carmany. She's the founder of Soulful Evolution. We'll be back with more after these words on the Om Times Radio Network.
Humanity Healing International is a small nonprofit with a big dream. Since 2007, HHI has been working tirelessly to bring help to communities with little or no hope. Our projects are not broad mandates, nor are they overnight solutions, but they bring the reassurance that no one is alone and that someone cares. To learn more, please visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Back on Destination Unlimited, my guest this week is Allison Carmany. She's the founder of Soulful Evolution. Allison, how do you explain psychic work to someone who may be skeptical?
Well, psychic work is just that intuition, what you hear, what you see, what you feel, what you experience. It's nothing taboo. It's psychic has got like a bad rap, a bad name, and it's nothing more than that sense that you're tapped into that can't be seen or heard. It goes beyond the physical, right? We've tapped into those five senses, but like, what if you could tap into those clairs beyond the physical? And so many people are so scared of this, but this is your true power. When you are tapped into your the clairs and the psychic sense beyond this, this is your true power. This is the biggest way to empower yourself to live a life that is truly sovereign, which means you are not controlled by what's happening outside of you. You know, even though there's things that are happening outside of you, you do not have to be controlled by them, right? But you have to be tapped in enough to yourself in your own like intuition to not be moved and controlled by this. And moving into a world of AI where there's going to be videos, there's going to be people out there speaking, and we are not going to know whether this is true or not true. You're going to have to be tapped into that sixth sense to say, what they're saying does not resonate with me. This does not feel right. And we're going to have to reject those things, but you have to be in that state of sovereignty to do that.
And what is one simple practice that people can use to reconnect with themselves?
The most powerful thing that I've found, haven't found anything more powerful than this, is meditation. Okay? Because what meditation does is it helps someone to become the observer of their life. So they're not stuck in their personality, in their ego self, thinking, oh, this is all there is. It allows you to observe on a larger level, oh, what is Allison doing? Oh, she's doing this. Why is she doing that? And be able to like more evaluate and more access to the prefrontal cortex. So the human beings are the only ones that have access to the prefrontal cortex. It's outside of our reptilian brain, which is just a reactive brain. As long as we're stuck in the world and we're reacting to things, we're stuck in the lower brain centers. But meditation shows to get us into the upper brain centers that allows us to be observers. And a lot of people don't like, oh, I can't meditate. Well, setting the intention that you're meditating, maybe with walking, maybe with doing dishes, maybe out in nature. Meditation doesn't necessarily have to be sitting still. It can be a meditation to be cleaning your house, right? So finding a form of meditation where you're maybe doing a task that doesn't require your brain, and brain goes on rest and you're going into a meditative state, but you have to set the intention that you're going into a meditative state to really more take advantage, to make it more conscious.
Absolutely. One of my personal realizations in this lifetime has been reconnecting with those I have traveled with before, perhaps soul family. Have you encountered others having this experience?
Well, I've experienced myself with reconnecting with people where I'm like, I just feel like I've known this person forever. They like know my soul. They know me. And I feel like those connections were like, I feel just so comfortable. I feel myself with this person, is part of our soul family.
And the reconnection, I find, has a higher purpose very often.
Yeah. And I feel like the thing is that what, even studies have shown, like we're traveling in groups of souls. So it's like my family, maybe my kid was the mother at one time. And it's just like we exchange roles, but we're souls. See, a lot of times we're looking at people in terms of their role. It's like, okay, mother, father, son, daughter. And once we see somebody in a role, we can't see that they're a soul anymore, right? So seeing people, viewing them as a soul rather than in the role, it's like, okay, this is the role of my partner, my husband. It's like once they take on that, we don't see that they're on their own soul's journey. There's lessons that they need to learn and things that they need to evolve. And by seeing in that role, we get locked into these roles. We can't see that these are souls that are evolving.
Absolutely. What do you wish that more people understood about energy?
Before language, before anything, is energy. We live in the universe and everything is energy. We are just energy. Everything is vibration and frequency. It's just everything vibrates at a certain vibration and frequency. So on my bookshelf right now, I have, 100 books. It's like, well, what books are resonating at my frequency right now where they call to me, right? So in this physical universe, we have the law of gravity. It's like, I'm not going to jump off the top of my roof thinking I'm going to fly. And we have in the non-physical realm, the spiritual dimension, the law of resonance and vibration. And you're not going to argue with that law. So it's knowing someone's like, well, I want this, I want that in my life. Well, this is the thing, is it vibrates at a certain frequency and vibration. So you have to be at that frequency and vibration to receive that, to be energetic alignment with it. And that is really the law of attraction. People are always like, well, I've been doing my affirmations, I've been doing positive thinking, but that's within the mind, right? You have to be the vibrational frequency and the resonant frequency to attract it, to really resonate at it. So I'm always asking, every day I ask, bring me to my highest vibrational timeline. Because how I see these timelines play out as soon as somebody's sitting in front of me or my own life is that sometimes we're not at the highest vibrational timeline, right? We're having all these challenges, we're facing all these things because we're vibrating at a certain frequency that's bringing those events and situations. And the more negative we experience, the more we're bringing more negative of that, right? So we're in a cycle. Sometimes we get in these cycles we can't escape. So when we're in higher vibrational states, we're more aligned with that higher vibrational timeline where things are more effortless, right? And the quickest way to change our vibration is through what we believe, what we're thinking, and what we're feeling. And when we start to pay attention to this is when we can shift our vibration and get to a higher timeline where things are more effortless in our life.
What are some of the quantum manifestation tools that you offer your clients?
I show them the features of law of attraction. And one of the main things of law of attraction, that the biggest piece that people miss and why it doesn't work, is because you have to be in the feeling as if it's already happened. So the car that you want, or the job that you want, or the things you want to achieve, you don't want those things. Like people say that, oh, I got all this, and the moment I got it, I was happy for an hour or a day, and then it wore off. Why? Because it's the feeling that you actually want, not the actual goal or the thing that you want, right? So if we can already be in the feeling of it, well, then you're already feeling it. Then it's not something that you need, it's something that you want. And so then you're not desperate to the universe, right? Then you're able to be not attached to the actual thing that you want or the actual goal that you want, right? And it's through that non-attachment and the feeling that we can achieve and we can collapse time. And that's quantum, like the quantum collapse time, right? That's really what I've used in my life, in just really getting clear about what is it that you want, and then you can collapse time. And this is what I'm always helping people with. It's like, okay, I have this vision. I want to achieve this, right? Okay, well, we can collapse time by getting really super clear on what you want and then removing those blocks to helping you to achieve that.
It's already happened. It's already achieved, and you are grateful. Gratitude is so important.
Yes. The biggest thing to getting there is if somebody wants to get to love, to access this new partner or this new things they want, is gratitude, using that state of gratitude and being grateful. I have a timer that I set on my phone, and it goes off to remind me to be in a state of gratitude, to remember that state of gratitude. That's just a simple activity someone can apply to remembering that, and it starts to become a habit.
Absolutely. And we are grateful for our guest today, Allison Carmany, the founder of Soulful Evolution. Allison, one more time, please share your website with our listeners and your offerings there.
Okay, it's soulfulevolution.com. I do one-on-one readings, and also we're going to be launching a mastermind, which I'd love everybody to take part in too, where you get to learn the tools and the strategies to becoming more energetically aligned in your life.
And what else do you offer there?
Basically shifting your vibration, helping you to become higher vibrational in your life, to allow for more effortless and ease to occur in your life, and that challenges, you just override those because you're just at such a higher vibrational frequency. I'm helping people to tap into their intuition and tap into that inner sixth sense to remember why they're here, that soul's mission.
Allison, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your experience and your wisdom.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for joining us on Destination Unlimited. I'm Victor, the Voice Furman. Have a wonderful week.